Hey folks, welcome back. It's good to have you here. I am delighted and honored to be here with our guest for today, who is Venita Ramirez. Welcome, Venita.
Thank you, Forrest. So wonderful to be here.
So, for any of you who've been here before, and Venita, I know you've heard, at least a couple of my podcast episodes before. This is a field first podcast, and what that means is we make the field object, the field of awareness. And we invite you today to relax and allow yourself to be resourced and even recreated from the field that this consciousness is sourcing. Um, Inviting you today to notice not only the words Venita and I are saying and the topics and territories we're exploring, but also where we're speaking to you from. Inviting you to feel where we're speaking to you from and to really soak up the transmission of where this conversation is coming from. So yeah, welcome, Venita. I feel you. I experience you as a master teacher of these kinds of explorations of working with field and embodiment and transmission and um, being the teaching.
Mhm.
So I want to welcome you in and helping uh, create the conditions for a great recording today. Maybe you could speak to what happens to you when you hear Field First approach, Field First podcast, and
Mm,
invite us into some breathing and deepening.
okay,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, that feels really good. I love the field first idea. And it's something that, as you've mentioned, that we can feel, you can sense, especially if you can relax the tensions in your body. The more you can relax the tensions in your body, the more you can feel. And we can talk about this a little bit more later, but when most of us growing up, we have social conditioning, parental conditioning, traumas, all kinds of things that cause us to close down or tighten our muscles around emotions. And then we numb our feeling. And then at that point, we don't know what we feel, we don't know what we want, we can't sense into our own authentic being. And so we look out to others for what to do and lose a sense of ourself. So one of the most basic things to do is to be able to feel our bodies, to be able to feel the tensions in the body, and then to learn to relax those tensions. And as we relax those tensions, space opens up through the body, the physical body, and then if, ultimately or eventually, you can open up space through the energy field. And that's what we're talking about as the field, and then open further into boundless presence, boundless awareness. But I find that with people, I've worked with people for 45 years or something now, a long, long time. And I find that the more people are relaxed and the more they're able to let their breath flow through their entire being, the more they can perceive these subtle experiences in the field that we're talking about. So, do you want me to lead a little breath work um,
I love that.
session or lesson?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So for everybody, this is a really simple, basic breath practice, breathing practice that I do with everybody I work with. So at first, all you have to do is relax into your seat, just wherever you're sitting, or if you're lying down, same. If you're standing, same. Just relax. Relax through the whole body and feel the surface underneath your body, surfaces or the surface, and know them as stable places that you can release, relax into. So just sense into these places and it helps you kind of go, okay, yeah, I'm being held by the ground, I'm being held by the chair, by the floor, by the bed, whatever. So you just relax. That's number one. Number two, now you just take a big full body breath. Breathe through your entire body. Yeah, perfect. And let go as you exhale. very simple, very, very simple. And as you're inhaling, as we're inhaling, we are sensing and feeling into the body. Where does my breath, how does it move? Does it flow really smoothly through my whole being? Or does it, more likely for most people, somewhere it gets stuck in your body? It's like you start trying to breathe and it gets stuck in your belly, or it's stuck in your diaphragm, or there's a knot in your diaphragm, or it moves around your chest, into like a different, it doesn't go straight up, it moves around, right? Or people get stuck in their throats, or they feel some tension, pressure in their forehead or the top of their head. And these correspond with the chakras in Indian Hindu philosophy, is these energy centers. So, and then Chinese medicine also has acupuncture kind of meridians where energy flows. That's their philosophy. But what I try to do is keep it as simple as possible. So let's just breathe together through the body, just the whole body. We're just feeling how the breath goes. And as we exhale, we just try to relax and release any bit of tension that we can, any bit of surface tension. And that's the beginning of this work. Very, very simple. And you can do it during meditation. You can do it just throughout the day. And so there's that. That's the beginning. And then we can go into more other kinds of breath practices, moving up the central channel and things like that. But I'll just stop there for a second and see if there's any response, Forrest, on your part.
Experientially, there's quite a lot of opening happening over here and more radiance.
Yeah,
Everything is just glistening more and more.
absolutely. Yeah. It feels good, doesn't it? It feels
Oh,
so good. And
oh,
it's amazing because I think unconsciously most people hold their breath a lot. They just kind of clamp down on everything and they go around and then they feel depressed, and anxious and don't know why. But it's because they're clamping down on their aliveness, and the feeling in their body.
mm,
And sometimes because there's so much pain in the body, emotional pain or physical pain. And so understandably they're trying to avoid that, but and yet that's what keeps it in place.
as you're speaking, I'm hearing the word rage. This might be a personal question. It might be on behalf of listeners. How do you work with rage with your client?
Mm, yeah, that's a really good question. Rage is important. I mean, we're taught it's dangerous and scary and we got to push it down and all those things. And yet it's your life energy, it's part of the life force energy. Where it goes wrong or where it goes, where it is damaging is when it becomes violent, like actually violent, and placed onto other people. But the way to work with it is to work with it as energy. And usually if there's rage, it's because there's been something in your past that has harmed you. And right. And so, and maybe repeatedly harmed you physically or emotionally. Or you're seeing, looking, well, it's usually about you. This is not about other people. So it's normal to feel like this is not fair. It's like its energy wants to meet energy with the same force as the original energy. And if you push it down into your body, right, you're just again dampening down, closing off, not being fully yourself. So the idea would be, when I trained with some teachers who were really, they had a whole week, I was like 3 or 4 days on anger, boundaries, and safety. And they'd have us rip up phone books, and that back when we used to have phone books, they'd have us stomp, they'd have us like beating on and punching on things and like mattresses and things like that. But people have that inside of them. It's energy and it's stuck. So the idea is to find a safe place to let yourself feel that rage, even maybe feel who it's about, who needs to hear it, but not necessarily go. to them in person. And then just get out the words and get out the sounds and let it rip from your gut, just let it come out because it's usually from a really deep place in the body, held way down there. And underneath that is usually pain, you know. And and then after that is weeping and sorrow for all the pain that everybody had gone through in that situation. And that's when the release happens. Then, oh, the lightness comes. And the love even can come behind that, the love for self, the love for even for the other, or the compassion for the other, let's say. So it's expressing that and becoming comfortable with that is part of everything. It's part of the whole. Yeah. Mhm.
The more I'm just with you right now, Venita, the more the quality of radiance that I was presencing earlier is coming online. Um,
Mhm.
really seeing the essence of everything shining back.
Yeah, me too. It just feels like a big open field of light and clarity, love. Yeah, feels so good.
I know you specialize in working with people who are having later stage experiences, um, and you've been doing that for decades. Um, where experiences of the innate radiance of everything of awareness itself shining back at us through all of her forms. Um,
Mm, yeah, I like the way you say that. It's nice. Yeah, I have. I have worked with people for a while at a later stage. Yeah.
what do you notice? I know in traditional psychotherapy it can be very story based and concept based. You work at such a profound level, such a deep level, and there's a subtle simplicity or a simple profundity. There's some combination of the words subtle, profound, and simple that they get to play together.
Yeah, it kind of works. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Yep.
So, what do you notice with, I know you work with subtle impressions and the subtle energy field and the larger field of awareness itself. How does working with our material and our trauma and stuff grow up as our capacities grow up and evolve?
Mm, yeah. Well, I find that it is really useful early on when you're first doing your personal work to go through what happened in your childhood with a good helper, like a good um, therapist or coach or healer of some kind. It helps to have support because it can be intense and difficult, and you don't know how to do it yet. It's all new. So it is important at that point to tell your story, to come back and tell yourself your own story, to learn what your story is, or even be able to see it from different angles and reframe it and, have another perspective with a professional, let's say. So I think that that's an important thing to do. And often when people are in like more conventional um, stages of awareness, or even post-conventional, like I mean, a lot of people, most of the people walking around in the world right now are kind of in these sort of conventional and post-conventional stages of awareness. I know you've talked about that on your show before. In that case, it's difficult to get into these larger spaces from which to process what happened. And so being with yourself and learning your own feelings and telling your story is really important. At some point when a person does start to move into we call it meta-aware or this radiance, you're talking about the field of awareness that you're talking about through psychedelics or meditation or any kind of spiritual practice or even psychotherapy, and just even can be trauma, can throw you into that. Um, at that place, it starts to be easier and more useful to perceive through the energy field the sensations of the blockages. So in the earlier stages, you're more like maybe feeling in your body or telling your story from your mind, and the emotions and stuff like that. Later, it's good to start to release some of that, because some of those stories and some of the intellectual framing or intellectual ideas are in the way of the next layers of release, the next layers of sensation, the deeper layers of presence in your being. And so as you start to relax the mind, that's why meditation's a lovely, it's a great practice. Relax the mind, open up some space and stop thinking so much. You can move your attention more into the physical body, but also into the subtle body. And as I mentioned earlier, as the physical body starts to relax, because you're working with those tensions and releasing them and those old traumas, and you're releasing some of those old traumas, the surface ones, the main ones. Underneath that there's more layer of like subtle trauma, or more layers of deeper unconscious um, traumas and blockages that you haven't remembered, maybe, or that you can't remember because it happened too young, or you blocked it out or something like that. So at that point, you start to get into these, this is where we start to move into these kind of really lovely mystical spaces, or more mm, this shimmering radiance you're talking about, clarity, openness. And if you can start to move into that openness, that clarity, that open space with less thought, through the body and around the body, then you start to have this new capacity for um, perceiving more subtle um, information through the field. So subtle information that's my own information, but also, like about my own past and history, but also others, where you can start to sense into their subtle fields more, and get a sense of even their pain or their need, or, their heartache or whatever it is. And then allows you to be more compassionate and present with them as well. So there's a lot that can happen through that subtle field. And, in the I know in Western civilization, I mean, we don't really talk about subtle energy that much. We don't even acknowledge that it exists, but it's like so, it's right here. It's right. It's powerful and palpable when you really can um, start to pay attention. So maybe I leave it there. But I love working with subtle energy. It's kind of my main thing. I think that in these later stages, there's this tech one particular technique for sure that it's really helps release subtle impressions. And when I call subtle impressions, it's a Buddhist term, but they also what it is like karmic release, or it's like going to the deepest layers of pent up energy, or energy that's stuck around some particular idea or assumption or something like that, and relaxing that, or even a physical trauma, relaxing that. And as that relaxes, sometimes you have to feel the pain of what happened in the past, but sometimes it just goes, and you're just like, okay, uh, that was wild. There wasn't even a problem that happened. It was part of the whole situation, right? It's part of what is. So it's pretty wild. I mean, it's really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, in this moment, noticing the radiance we were speaking of and coming from awareness itself, and at the same time noticing tensions, like, in the couple of subtle ones in the pelvic floor right now. And so it's interesting. It's like I can be the human being that has the subtle tensions. Um, and then I can also be the awareness that's looking in on the human being having the tensions.
Exactly right. That's right. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the later stage. That's the person who's aware of this clear field and is coming from this clear field of perception and can perceive the physical and the subtle from that. What you and I would call boundless, we call boundless, formless awareness. Yeah.
Have you and I don't actually know if I've told you that I had a near death experience last fall. Did I tell you about that?
No,
Okay.
no, tell me what
Yeah.
happened.
I was in Mexico and I almost drowned in the ocean.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was by far the closest I've ever come to dying. It's really scary for the human. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I feel
Thank
sad
you.
about that. Yeah, it's like, oh, ow. I would really miss you if you were gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing what a breath can do. I mean, my system relaxed so deeply when you just took that breath. Like I feel you staying with me as I'm sharing and
Yeah.
not kind of jumping out. Um,
Yeah.
so
Of
thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
course. Yeah. Yeah. And so what happened? Did you have like an insight or what happened?
Several. I mean, it was pretty it was pretty shamanic. It was like I might as well have been on psychedelics or something. It was so
Hmm.
filled with things that I could make a lot of meaning out of. um,
Yeah.
um, but I had an out of body experience where I
Mm-hmm.
was looking from awareness down on Forrest, the
Wow.
human in the ocean,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and I became aware in that moment. Um, I'm just delighting that we get to talk about this because I became aware in that moment. I am identified as awareness. Like this really is my identity. I mean, I'm looking down at Forrest
Yep.
drowning in the ocean and going, well, everything's okay. No matter what happens, it's all fine. Uh,
Wow.
you
I
know what I
love
mean?
it.
Like
Yes.
it's all okay.
Yeah.
And then also looking down and there was just, you don't have, it's not thought, it's just instantaneous knowing. But I just had this insight of I've been hanging out one or two clicks in the bliss realms. I've been hanging out one or two clicks kind of dissociated and above it all and out here in
Yep.
the metaware, vast, timeless,
Yep. People do
everything's
that.
great, no matter
Yep.
what happens, it's all good.
Yeah.
um, and my human who I'm in, of course in touch with because there's nothing that's not connected, right? My humans down here breathing, having a full-on panic attack, taking in water, trembling, shaking,
Wow. Wow.
and
Yeah.
going, oh, actually, if I relax this big bliss thing that's going on, I realize there's quite a lot of suffering happening
Mm-hmm.
for us in this moment, and
Yeah.
how
Yep.
much am I bypassing the pain and the suffering and the ouch and the agony by hanging
Mm-hmm.
out here in the everything's perfectness.
Yep. For sure. There, I love it. That's really important. And so what happened then afterwards for you? Did you change something or have you shifted since then?
I mean, a million percent. I got to give you one more part of this experience that was so profound.
Yeah.
Um, at some point, I descended out of awareness and back into the body. I'm back in in Forrest, or at least much more in contact with the physical body. And I'm on this beach with nobody on the beach, looking out at a vast, empty, sand. And I realize I need to call for help. And my ego kicks in. I mean, this voice comes online. I'm a strong 34-year-old male. I'll figure this out by myself. And I just start laughing. I'm going, I'm drowning. I'm drowning right now. And there's this voice going like, no, no, I got it. I'll do it.
I totally know what you mean. Laughing about that is the funniest thing because I mean, it's like that shows the awareness again was there. Awareness, like, oh my gosh, what the heck?
It's just I mean, on the one hand, I want to say you can't make this stuff up, but if we are in fact making this stuff up, so it's even funnier. And so, I know you work so much with the midline and the central channel. I go to yell for help, Venita, and I swear to you, it's like I try to yell for help as loud as I can, and in the moment I do it, it comes out like
Like
and
nothing, no sound.
no sound. The
Yeah.
muscles in my esophagus have never flexed in the concentration pattern of help before. I had never yelled for help in my life.
Wow.
I'd
Wow,
never
wow.
yelled for help in my
That's
life,
huge.
right?
Yeah.
It's like
Uh-huh.
the first time you do a bicep curl. It's like the muscles in my throat and my esophagus and my midline have never squeezed in this pattern of language ever.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah.
So
I'm so glad you found that opportunity.
yeah, yeah, I reloaded. I took a deep breath and reloaded, and it was like, okay, I dropped into the most sincere place in my being, the most genuine place in my being, and I yelled for help, and it came
Yeah.
out, and it was loud, and in that moment, God, the universe, the ocean, whatever, picked my body up and threw me about 50 yards onto the beach. I quite literally got a wave of grace.
Oh my God. That is so moving. Yeah, I can feel that in my center of my chest right now. Just touched by that. Wow, beautiful. Yeah. Oof, man. So then what? So then, I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat here. So then that was some kind of, again, another recognition or opening or, yeah.
Yeah, let me just take a breath real quick. Because there's energy moving over here. Let me just take a breath so I don't.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay, too.
yeah, yeah. There's a little bit of trembling happening over here. Like there's still releasing
Yeah,
and integration and these kinds of things. Uh,
absolutely. When was that again? How long ago?
it was in September or October of last year, so
Okay.
six months ago, something like that.
Yeah, not that long. Yeah.
No, not that
Okay.
long.
Wow, I just feel really touched. It's just powerful in a way, what you're talking about. Just this whole you're being shown something, right? You're learning in the moment, like something's opening for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some people are doing audio only, but as you were saying that, you were doing a Taurus field gesture, and I
Oh
just want
yeah.
to name that because when you ask about things that have really come online since this
Yes.
experience, that gesture you just did of the Taurus
Yep.
field, that has
Yep.
been, I mean, I've drawn images in my apartment here. If you came in here and walked around, you would see the pictures I've drawn of the Taurus field. That
Oh,
gesture,
cool. I love the Taurus field. Yeah, that's cool. Nobody knows if it's called TORUS for anybody who doesn't know what it is, but it's powerful too. Energy field. Good. Whew. Wow.
thanks for being with me. There's the diaphragm's opening right now. The rib cage is opening.
Oh, nice. Mine is too. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's wild how you can resonate with each other and kind of help each other open.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sweating a little bit over here. There's all kinds of movement happening.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to keep going, but my impulse actually in this moment is to check in and see what's happening for
Over
you.
here for
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
I
over
feel
here.
excited. I feel really engaged and present and um the story is really interesting to me and your process. But at the other hand, if you feel complete with that, you can come back to me and ask me whatever. But I'm okay to go either direction, whatever feels right. So I think that your story is obviously there was great insight that you gained there. right? And it changed you in some way. And so because of that, it seems valuable to share it. And maybe you have done it. Have you shared it before on your
As far as I'm
publicly?
aware, I haven't talked about it on this podcast.
Okay. Yeah, I
But
mean, I think it's worthwhile, but it's up to you. You decide where we go.
yeah, I'm gonna keep going. I'm just really appreciating taking some moments to breathe because when all this excitement and energy starts moving, there's a way to kind of eject into that excitement, and so it helps to just kind of breathe and stay, stay, and
Yeah, keep bringing an awareness back through the body again, back into the body. Okay, we can do it in real time. Let's do it. So, because I could use it. We all could use it. So if as anybody starts to get kind of excited or feel like they're kind of rising up out of their body a little bit, the thing is to be aware of that first, like you're doing, and then and then take a breath through the body. Try to bring attention back down through the lower part of your body. I know you know how to do this already for us, but we'll just do it together for everybody. And then, yeah, relax down deep into the pelvis. See if you can relax and bring attention to the pelvis and the hips. Uh, and then down through your legs and your feet and feel the ground beneath you. So feel the soles of your feet connecting to the ground. And and then for some people that's still difficult to do. And so even more basic than that would be to touch a physical object with your hands or look around the room and identify objects. It's another way for grounding. So yeah, once you do that, it's like, okay, I'm here, and then feel back into the story you're telling. Uh, and then you can also stay open to this larger field. If you can do all at the same time, that's ideal, but that's kind of advanced. So
well, it's a beautiful weaving of the story actually, because this embodied invitation you're giving us in the moment, the practice you're walking us through, has been the most real invitation on the other side of this experience. I mean, again, had quite a bit of laughter in the days after, because you would think someone would come out of an almost drowning experience and be filled with wonder and awe and gratitude and bliss, and that was not what was happening for me at all. I had 3 days of being pissed the fuck off, like just rage filled.
wow.
It was like
Wow.
all this rage that was down there in my human that I wasn't being with because I was hanging out in the bliss realms. It was like, okay,
Oh.
here's the new game. Here's the
Oh,
new.
perfect because something like that just opens you up, doesn't it? And then whatever you hadn't dealt with just comes rushing up, rushing through. Okay,
Right.
perfect. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, life, consciousness, awareness, the ocean, shook up, literally just like dunk you under the water over and over and shake it and shake it. It's like, okay, boom, here's all the stuff.
That's right. That's a good one. I like it. Yep.
And in this moment, I'll like kind of look into time and look at the past, or at least my projection onto the past, and I had spent years getting really good at taking a perspective on my perspective, and um, going out and out and out, and awakening and awareness of awareness, and uh, you know divinity, luminosity, um,
Right.
oneness,
Yeah.
and this experience showed me that I was bypassing, um,
Yeah.
which is amazing because the I would have claimed to be at the time was pretty into embodiment and somatic work and these kind of things. So it's pretty amazing.
So there was still more.
But there
Yeah.
was still
Still.
so
Yeah.
much more,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much.
For sure. Yeah. Great. Good
And
lesson.
so it's really down. It's the descending path, um,
Yes.
and
Right.
coming from vast, spacious, timeless, boundless awareness, into the body and into everything, into every particle and
Yeah,
every piece of fabric of existence, and knowing this too is that.
exactly right. No matter how horrible, horrific it is, and you know, it's really hard to accept that. I mean, people even right now will probably be, I mean, there's a part of me that's indignant about that. Like, what? Everything.
Right.
But truly, more and more as it's like seeing everything as energy and shimmering and part of the whole and something that can't really be avoided. It's all here and it's always been here. And, you know, it's as long as far as we know, the human, it just seems like things aren't changing rapidly or, significantly since all of time in certain ways of being human, let's say, for example, or even in the animal kingdom, or like we're talking about violence or, killing or, all the things like that. It's really hard. It's hard to be with that. Yeah. Or one's own traumas and suffering, which everybody has some form of it.
Yeah, I feel tears coming, and there's a memory coming to me from this morning. I went into concretely, I'm in Medellin, Colombia right now, and I went to a cafe this morning to work on my book, and this woman that I see all the time in Medellin came up to me. She's this grandmother who runs a center for children in Medellin who have cancer, and
Oh,
she,
wow.
you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who you are. She comes up to you and grabs you and gives you this like
Oh,
super strong hug and kisses you all over
oh,
and just
I
like
love that.
loves on you. And um, there's a, she sat down at the table with me this morning, and she just held my hand, and she was like, I just left the center, and one of my 8-year-old boys died from cancer this morning.
Oh,
And we sat there, with no words, just deep eye contact with hearts ripped wide open for who knows how long. And it's just like, that too. Right? Like,
I know. It hurts. Yeah, it hurts. It's real, in a sense, it's real. It's real. So being in the bodies is so important. It's where we find our hearts, our compassion. Mm. Yeah, let's together maybe we can relax, relax through our bodies now. And take a big, big breath. We'll just do it again like we did earlier. Everybody can do this if you'd like. Yeah. Take a big breath, your whole body, and then as you exhale, you just let go. Because we're with the pain of the child and your pain and the woman's pain with it. And then we can breathe and feel it all and feel our empathy and our compassion and our resonance as a human and care. And then if carry that around, we get heavier and heavier. If we carry all the burdens of everybody and even our own around, we just get heavy and it doesn't feel good and it's not really that useful in the world. So better to feel it fully by breathing. And then as you exhale, let it go. Then you just release and be free again. Yeah. So one of the ways you can think about it is like relaxing your skin, relax the skin around your body and try to let some of the held energy move your own pain from your past, any pain that you're perceiving in the world. It doesn't mean you can become detached or, to bypass it. It means feel it fully and then let it move. So what happens there is there's always a flow, there's always fluidity, there's always freshness, you know? And so then we come back to this open spaciousness again, clarity.
There's such a deep appreciation happening over here for not needing to intellectualize, or a lot of times when we can't be with pain, we jump out of it and we need to story it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
there's so much release happening over here, just feeling the attunement from you and feeling the capacity to just
Mm-hmm.
to be with what's happening. So
Yeah.
grateful.
And so, yeah, I'm grateful too for you that you that you value this and can do this with me, with others. So yeah, it feels good. So that's it feels different to be in this spaciousness than to be with. Typically, people are thinking a lot. There's obsessing going on, the same stuff going, and I've been there, you've been there, and you're kind of caught in your thoughts, right? Caught in your emotions, caught in the stories. What happens with that is you don't relax down deeper and feel the deeper feelings and sensations. You can't free yourself from it. You can't see beyond it. You can't really be there for others because you're caught in your own stories in mind. So the more, it's just nice to be with those of us who can, or those other people who can release that for a little bit. And then instead, what we feel something completely different. I feel something with you that's again open, it's clear, it's light, spacious. It doesn't need a lot of words, doesn't need a lot of thoughts, doesn't need to fill the space. And some of my wiser clients, would say that there's way more that you can perceive and it can be communicated through silence than through words, right? So it's like you can really feel somebody when you're both quiet and you're both present that we share.
I'll just name, there are moments in daily life where some sensation is happening, and story making kicks online, and awareness is like, oh, I see what's going on here. There's some intensity happening. The mind's getting really active.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a couple of things, if anybody's curious, a couple of things that I do that are really supportive, and I'd love to get yours, Venita. One of them is like, I'll run my hand, like my fingertips across the bricks on my building and feel that
Yeah.
tactile sensation. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
like
Yeah.
being deeply with that overactive mind, and also the sensations that are too much for something to be with, and just bringing
Mm-hmm.
all of that to the brick, just bringing all that right to the point where the skin is contacting the brick, like right here we can be with all of this, and
That's a
somehow
great idea.
it can
Yeah.
just open, somehow it can just open.
Beautiful. I love that.
and one more is my apartment is right next to this massive, amazing river in Medellin that's just pouring through all day long. And so I'll just foreground the river. I'll just notice like, okay, here's the river, and it starts as like, let's be with the overactive mind, let's be with the sensations that are too much. And it's like if you open enough, the river will wash through all of being and
Absolutely true.
and just
Absolutely true. You can feel that. Absolutely right. Yep. Isn't that wild?
it's
It's
just
amazing. It's like whoa. It's like magical. It's weirdly magical. Like yes, it does. Is when you open up to the energy, it's like a more subtle way of being. And then everything starts to become more connected, more and more part of the whole. So yeah, I love it. Beautiful. That's gorgeous. Yeah, I say for me, thoughts. If I become aware that I'm lost in a little some thought and it's uh, not useful because thoughts are fine and they are useful, and they're good for planning or for certain types of things. But if there's more of a tool, it's more right. You're using it from the awareness itself, from the clear field of awareness. So, but if I get caught on something and I realize I am caught in it, which I can do pretty quickly now, boom, all I have to do is let it go. All I have to do is realize, oh, that's not necessary, you know? And I'd say it's harder though. I'm not, sometimes, most of the time it's super easy for me now, but some of the time, like let's say it's a family issue going on that feels like a deeper dynamic that's been going on my whole life or most of my life or something like that. And it's painful. That's harder. That could last, you know, a couple days or something like that. And so working with that gives an opportunity to work with more of that sediment, more of that stuckness or that old stale stuff that needs to be released and the love that needs to happen instead. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, okay, rather than pushing that away or saying there's something wrong with me because that's happening, it's more like, okay, now I'm doing this. And so I guess more learning needs to happen right now. That's okay. It's always, I don't think it ever ends. You know, maybe it's part of loving.
well, yeah. I mean, the sediment is just such a perfect word, and as our you can speak to this better than I can, I imagine. But as we open into the ocean of being and actually experience us like the ocean of being as us, it's like, oh, this vast awareness in which everything exists. We are that. Like we are this vast ocean.
Yeah.
There's all this sediment. So it's like it doesn't even matter if it's Forrest Wilson's material or Venita Ramirez material.
I love it.
it's all us. It's one being.
Absolutely. You got it. You got it. Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's hard. It's hard for me. I've been doing this for so long and it's still so hard to look out at the world and see things happening that look so horrendous to me. I'm just like, oh my gosh, how can that possibly be happening? And oh, it's so painful. And then to realize, oh, it's all me. Not me, Venita. It's just all us. It's all the one happening. It's expressing itself. And uh, I don't know. That's challenging still. Like that's divine too. It
Right.
is.
Right.
Right? Yeah. And then at the same time, that's from that perspective, that large awareness itself perspective. And then there's the subtle perspective, the subtle perspectives where we're more in this sensation of forms, subtle forms and feelings and even thoughts and beliefs. And then our physical bodies and everybody's physical body. and everything's physicalness, on the planet and beyond, throughout time and space. So it's a lot. It's a lot to be present with and present to. Yeah.
And the practice that you're inviting us into, breathing through our full body, the practices of breathing through the central channel, these grow up, right? We can breathe through totality. We can breathe through the entire embodiment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can. And we can also feel. Ultimately, we can feel everything. And I think people are really that's scared. That's difficult and scary. It also takes an understanding of boundaries and release because again, we can't take it on and then walk around with these little physical bodies, these tiny little specks of a body, and like try to feel it all and hold it all. It's more like you feel it all, but let it flow through you and move through you constantly because it's always evolving, always changing. Everything's co-relating all the time and co-evolving all the time. So it's like, nope, take it in, let it go, take it in, let it go, take it in, let it go. And that way you're both full and free, you're both, yeah, that's the way we can be present with everything as wholeness.
Well, and I'll speak from my own experience. It's been so important. We have this nested self structure, and for coming out from the biggest self we are, all the way down into the
Yes,
smallest, and helping the smallest self in me know, hey, it's not your job to hold all this. you know
right,
that's been so important. The little one in me was like, oh my God, I gotta hold all the suffering of the entire cosmos in every
right.
moment. And it was just, my entire nervous system was fried. I was completely
Yep,
burnt out, just not,
that's
just
right.
we gotta
Doesn't you can't, it's
it's
impossible.
impossible.
Yeah, for
It's not what
sure.
you do, that the little
Yeah,
self, you're held by and
exactly.
get to be a part of the interconnected
There you go.
whole.
Right on. Very well said. Absolutely right. Yeah. And to feel tenderness for that, your own little physical being here, even as an adult, we're just this vulnerable, tender being who doesn't know anything really, right? Nobody knows anything. And I like to say we don't know where all this came from. Ultimately, we have lots of stories, there's religions and philosophies and science and all the things we make up. Humans have made up all that stuff in a way, right? So there's all those stories, but ultimately we don't know. Even the Big Bang, some people like to say, well, it's the Big Bang. And it's like, well, how did that start? Where did that come from? You know, so it's truly a mystery, and it's like getting comfortable with not knowing and just sensing into being and you know feeling into as much as life as we can. I think with as much with as little obstruction in the way of our own, kind of like we said earlier, held tight, tense in the mind or the body. Yeah.
Well, that's a nice segue into another kind of exploration that we can have together. Um,
Yeah. Yep.
Within the last couple of months, I reached out to you and asked you if you would be willing to meet with my team. I have a team that I'm working with on a few different projects. And I said, I really feel like we could benefit just being in space with you and getting to be around you and have a practice group together. And
Yeah.
we're meeting every 2 weeks now. You meet with me and my team, and I'm not going to name their names or get too much into material that we're processing or anything like that. But I do want to speak to the creativity side of things. And um, I just, I just love the way that you so gracefully and skillfully invite us into spacious awareness and being in the Taurus field and just letting go and letting come and following the aliveness and the life force energy in the moment as a way to actually have a community and a collective and an organization that's creating
Mhm.
different center of gravity. So I just want to, you know, open up this line of exploration here.
Yeah. Well, I love it. What we've been talking about recently is together is the emptiness is the womb of creation idea,
Yeah.
right? And it's the thing is like that it's easy in life, like, oh, I got to figure out what to do. I've got to go find a job. I've got to make money. How am I going to do it? And right. And you start to think so hard and focus so much on some particular thing that it closes everything else down. Like everything else doesn't get to be seen or um, perceived. So when we really, I love this thing that we're doing, which is, if you go to emptiness, if you can really let everything go, and you can go, we can talk about it like, let's say that you could be even an element, you could be a kid, and you're like, okay, I've got this blank piece of paper and some crayons, and I can draw anything on it. What is it going to be? But you start with a blank canvas, a blank piece of paper. There's nothing on it, and anything can be. And there's a way that we can do that with life. I mean, we have, of course, our own human physics, limitations and stuff like that. But we all stop ourselves, I think, from letting our hearts, you know, meet the divine and then be shown what to do.
Mhm.
And the way to do that, from my view, is to let everything go that you think you're supposed to do, or who you're supposed to be, or what other people tell you, or what's out there, and just open up to this blank, this emptiness, and just feel into your heart, and then when you feel and sense into your heart from this big blank canvas, I feel love when I do that. I can feel warmth. So not everybody can feel that because may have a block there. So that would be your first thing, is just work with that blockage, releasing that blockage. You can do that with body workers and breath work and different types of things. But if that's open enough, then you just sort of meet this empty space, this sort of mystery, and let yourself receive information about what brings you joy. What would bring you joy, first of all, and then what is it that you have to offer others that would bring them joy or heal them or make them feel better or whatever it is, or help them in whatever capacity. So that starts to come through just if you can really let go. It just seems like that is the beginning of this flow of your life that starts to, and it's like that river you were talking about earlier. It just, whoosh, it just takes you with so much more ease, and then it's more authentic and more true for you. And then it's more successful because it's who you are, and you're doing it from a place of love, and it's what others need. And so of course, the right people will find you, and the words come behind that, and the messages and the invitations. So um, that's always worked for me. And I know some people uh, have a lot of doubt around that, but I think it's because of their conditioning and because they tend to get in their minds and argue about, oh, that's impossible for me because whatever, I need money right now, and or whatever it is, it doesn't anything, girlfriend or boyfriend. It's like, oh, just let go, open up. What's in your heart? Who do you want to attract? Let yourself feel it, let it go, and then just be present with that coming into being. And it does, you know? Yeah. So we've been doing a little bit of that together with your team around how to let everything go so that more easy fluidity can come through around creation and manifestation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what a line. Emptiness is the womb of creation. And I know it keeps coming up in every one of our calls as a team. At some point, it gets presenced into the space. And
Yeah.
we can model this together for the rest of our podcast, right? I mean, we've been doing it the whole time anyway, but it's like empty, let go,
Yep.
release
Yep.
fully.
That's right. Yep.
And turns out the emptiness is full.
Totally. Well, and that's really the way to live life, right? It's that, again, if you can let's just go ahead and breathe through the body again. Let's do the central channel now. So if we can put our attention on the base of our spine, this is a little, the next one after just doing it through the whole body and then releasing. Put your attention on the base of your spine. Relax down into your seat. And then take a breath. Just take a big breath through the whole body and let go. And then we'll come back to the base of the spine again. And the idea is to imagine a hollow column through the center of your body. I usually like to say 2 or 3 inches in diameter. Nice and big enough that you can really let lots of energy move up and breath. And then as you inhale, imagine breathing up through that central channel. And what we want to do is actually sense into each energy center as we go up. So the first one would be, the root is the first one. So the perineum. And then the second one is like 3 inches below the belly button. And that's creativity, sexuality, kind of the entangled emotional, relational kind of thing can happen in there, can get stuck in there. And then we move up. As we inhale, we keep breathing up into the belly. And just above the belly button is the third energy center, and that's the power center. That's where people feel empowered or afraid, depending on how you hold yourself there. And then the next one you go up is the heart center. It's right in the middle of the chest, in the middle of the middle of the chest. I consider this is where my soul is. That's how it feels like. That's where my soul is, but not everybody feels that. So again, you breathe up through there. We're still in the central channel. And then you go up to the throat. Breathe up through your throat. And there's ways you can focus on your throat and relax through your throat and open it up with some more. You try that. And then right up and through the head. So we're going up through the middle of the head and relaxing all the places in the face and the head. So the jaw, the cheeks, the sinuses, the eyes, behind the eyes, temples, ears, yeah, and all that, and around the head, around the neck, and then we continue upward into the forehead, which is the next energy center. That's our energy, or the throat would have been the energy center of the speaking and, yeah, mostly that communication. The one in the forehead is clear perceiving. So the one in the forehead is perceiving beyond the five senses. So there's clairsentience, which is clear feeling, which is when you can feel your own, other people's emotions as they're having them. And then there's clairvoyance, where you see images and pictures about, premonitions, or it's visual. And then clairaudience, which is clear hearing, so you can hear sound, you can hear messages in words that are, wise or divine. There you go. Yep. I feel that with you right now. And then they go on up to the top of your head. And you relax through the top of your head. That's an energy center at the top of the head. There's a lot more than these, but these are the main ones. And this one, I like to say, you open the top of your head it's a whale's blowhole. Imagine a whale's blowhole, and there's just this open space up there, and you can let this energy move from the base of your spine through your body, through all this central channel, up through the throat, the head, out the top of the head. And then it can, for some people, they can just go out into boundlessness from there. And if you can't go out into boundlessness, see if you can let yourself feel a swirling of that energy that comes through your body. Let it come out of the top of your head and swirl a little bit. And maybe it clarifies itself or cleans itself in clear light or something. In clear white light, you can just imagine that. And then you bring it back. You were talked about earlier about um, descending back down as that being important for wholeness. So we come back down through the head, through the middle of the head and the throat. Yeah. Relax down through the heart and the power center, which would be the diaphragm or solar plexus, and then down into the abdomen. And then down into the root. And then that's where it's good to take it further down through your legs and your feet. And then imagine maybe roots or anchor or something from the feet. I like to say roots, it's more natural. Roots through the soles of the feet into the ground. And then from there, what I love is imagining or feeling the earth's energy, that nourishment of the earth, the nutrients that feed us all. Um, the potency of the earth's core. Imagine that coming up through the soles of your feet. Yep. And then up through your legs. And breathe up through the central channel with that energy. Throat and head at the top. And go out into boundlessness if you want to relax your subtle energy field, your physical body, whatever you can do. And yep, boundlessness. There you go. And then timelessness. And that's freedom. And then, as you said, Forrest, everything, when you open your eyes, you see everything, the fullness through the emptiness, or even there could be fullness just in a felt sense of fullness in the emptiness, right? Yeah. Fullness of presence, fullness of radiance. So, yeah. Tell me what's happening for you right now.
There's quite a lot that went through the blowhole.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a clearing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. That's great.
I know we've done this practice together dozens of times, and maybe
Yep.
it's the group field, like we're all here together with our listeners non-locally. Group fields can really magnetize things, but
Yeah.
whatever. Meaning making is meaning making. That was really powerful for me and beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad. Yeah. Feels good for me too.
There's all kinds of ways this physical human body is still sort of click clacking and adjusting and finding its way to a deeper alignment and uh,
Yeah.
non-resistance with.
Yeah. It's a lifelong process. Yeah.
Well, and we're in relationship with everything in every moment, and anytime anything changes, everything changes. So the more we do this practice, the more it's like, what in the heck is the source of the tension even? Like it's just so.
Yeah, and yeah, that's right. Like you're like, well, yeah, exactly, because there's more and more dissolving of the, right? Of you as an individual separate self from everything and everyone else. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that's a good place to talk about boundaries, because, right, if there's the other thing that can happen is if people open too fast, if they try to open too fast, then it's not good either. And that can be dangerous, right? There's people can have psychotic breaks, psychosis, other kind of breakdowns. I've seen it and heard it. I haven't seen it, but I've heard people talk about it. So, this is powerful energy, powerful, powerful awareness. And that's why some of these Eastern philosophies that have been around for thousands of years, they're secret teachings because they keep certain teachings secret because they're too powerful for people to just start doing them without lots of preparation. Yeah. And so it's important to be aware. That's why I usually work with the body first, the physical body, felt sense in the physical body, and to be present with that. Because it's really important to be present with your own individual, like um, feeling of safety or not safe, your own capacity for opening up, you know. So if it starts to feel too much, trust that, like honor that, right? Respect that. And either let yourself know, I need to stop here and not do anymore and just stabilize this and let this process and integrate whatever it is, information from my past or energies, that are happening in my body or whatever it is. And then when I'm ready and stabilized enough or I have some support, I can open a little more, and see. So it starts with just, to me, being present in the physical body fully and really working through traumas. And you have your traumas that are really painful, and to do that with help and support. And then once that's done, you can really start working in the subtle field a lot more. And then once that's clear, it's really safely open up more and more to this vastness that we're talking about. So subtle boundaries are important. And even in human relationships, we walk around and we lie to ourselves about the subtle energy field and about how we're relating to each other, right? There's all kinds of sexual things that go on in the subtle field that, oh no, I'm not doing anything, but it's happening in the subtle field. And so it's important to acknowledge that in order to clean things up, and so that you get more in alignment with um, truth, beauty, and goodness, with the truth of being. Yeah, boundaries are really important for us.
Yeah, and it's one of the mm, places we can get stuck in our awakening journey is we open up to boundlessness and um, everything's an illusion, right? And so then we're
Yep.
boundless. Boundaries are an illusion, they're not real. And
Yep.
when we mature more in our boundless orientation, we go, okay, sure, everything's an illusion, and how are we going to be in relationship with our illusions? Right.
Exactly right. And we're also in a human world where people can get hurt, right? And I can hurt somebody if I don't recognize their boundaries. So they can hurt me if I don't recognize my own boundaries and say no, right? And so that just going everything's an illusion is not the whole story. It's powerful, but there's a truth to it in a certain way, but there's also truth to, and I've got a physical body that can get hurt, and right, and I need to take care of it.
There was a time, I have, depends where you draw the lines and how you define things, but I've probably been through at least one spiritual psychosis in my life. Uh,
Mm.
depending how you draw the lines, I've had several. I've certainly been on the brink of many through my journey, and I
Wow.
also was
Okay.
during COVID for a year. I was a part of they called it a spiritual emergency uh, hotline. I called it a spiritual awakening hotline because the word emergency can do things. Um, but I spent
Yeah.
an entire
Yeah.
year, like basically my full time job at that time was helping people who are having spiritual psychosis and spiritual awakening. So I've actually,
Wow.
yeah, like tons of experience working with people who are having experiences they're not ready for is a way. I mean, it's, it's like one way
Yep.
to say it. There's different ways we
Yep.
can say it, but um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I don't have, you have way more experience in that than I do then, because yeah, I don't, what was that? What did you learn there? What,
Well, of course you'd be amazing at it. I mean, it's so much of it is about grounding, um,
yeah.
and helping. So there's grounding, there's helping people develop capacity to self-soothe. That's really big.
Mm, yeah. Good. Yep. That's good training for you. That's
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Glad.
Yeah, it was healing me to help other people, right?
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
going, okay, how do we actually help people through this? Okay, that's helping me.
Absolutely. That's so good because this spiritual work, this work of awakening really needs that as the grounding. It really needs that kind of what you did there, that experience, so that you know what to do when people are opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of really basic stuff, making sure people are getting sleep and electrolytes and whole, good healthy chicken or whatever. I mean, if you're a vegetarian, good broccoli and potatoes and stuff, really quality, nourishing
Yeah.
foods. Beets are really good. Beets are
Mm,
so grounding.
I love beets.
Yeah. Beets and potatoes and yams and these things are super grounding. Beef, like these things ground you.
Oh, excellent. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep.
And
Yep.
nervous
Great.
nervous system regulation, like getting longer hugs from people. There's all kinds of science of what happens at 3 seconds into a hug and 10 seconds into a hug. And, of course, there's also like it's kind of like working with a body worker. The quality of embodiment, the person you're having a hug with, is a big factor. So you
Very
can.
true. So true. Isn't there a huge range of
Oh
hugging?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. From stiff to, bent, tense to oneness, right? Yeah.
Being able to
That's what
let go, and
sexual, you don't want the it's like usually you don't want the sexual thing coming through with most people. That's a boundary right there. You can regulate your sexual energy, and yeah, and I think some people don't realize that you can.
it's so amazing. I'm this human's 34 years old now, and there's like this whole generation of people. You go into these we space communities and relationship communities, and you see people able to be like in connection with other people. Like, wow, I'm feeling so much eros being in connection with you right now, but it's totally like contained. It's totally over here. It's not being projected on someone or acted out on someone.
Yeah.
It's just a,
Yep.
it's a
Yeah. It's powerful. I mean, energy is powerful and loving energy is powerful, as you know. It's big and so it can do a lot of things and that's, even you have to be careful. You have to be clear about that too. How am I expressing this radiance and this joy and this love and what does it mean and what's my intention? Yeah.
yeah, and again, I'll just speak for myself. I mean, the sex territory is I mean, what a difficult terrain it can be to navigate. The shame, the pain, the
Mm,
repression,
ah,
being made wrong. I mean, there's still
yeah.
sentiment and residue in some moments here for me. It shows up. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, there's still
Yeah.
some material here.
It touches me. Yeah. And I know that's true for lots and lots of people. Um, Yeah, and the more, as you know, the more you can clean that up and clear that up, the better, right? But it's not easy necessarily because there's all kinds of stuff mixed in with it, either from like your own family, your culture, you know, um, even like what does it mean to be a man or a woman? inner culture, right? And like taking on all everybody else's ideas of what that means versus what is the divine or God, or what does the universe want of me in this body? And there's a truthfulness you can feel when you attune to that, when you align to that, and it's clean and clear and healthy. Yeah. And then, you know, that looks all different ways. It doesn't have to look a particular way, but it's not hurtful to others. It's not, right? It's authentic. So what does it mean for me to be a woman? It's like, oh, it's just my own energy in this body. And if I can be fully present with this body and clear the wounds out and the trauma and the misconceptions, you know, then I can just be me. And maybe it doesn't matter as much if I'm a man or, what we call myself, what the label is. Yeah. So it's just like I know you perceive this too, but we're all beings of light, ultimately, right? And love, and the body is just a costume or a shell or something.
Yeah, it's one of the again, I'm just speaking for myself here. I know in my history, I feel like one of the places that created the conditions for a spiritual psychosis was places where, there's this vast opening into identities constructed, and even the concepts of I'm a man or I'm a human are constructs.
Yes.
And
Yep.
then at the same time, there's like a shame, a shame, shame spot. I'll just call it a shame spot that's like
Yeah.
nested deeply in a self structure. And so there can be this sort of thing where you're like deconstructing self into that's not who I am, but yet there's this
Oh,
wrangling shame thing. And so you're getting this like
good
opening,
point.
contracting.
Exactly. Oh, that's gorgeous. Beautiful point. I'm really glad you brought that up. Yeah. So well, let's work with. So I'm going to show how to work with that for a minute. This is a subtle impression idea, the shame. The shame is like something that's like deep in our subtle bodies and structure and history and past, right? Our whatever happened for us. And it can happen easily. So it's like if you can contact a piece of shame. Why don't we do it now? I could even go back to my childhood and find some. So if everybody here was listening, and you can take a moment and just recall a moment where you felt shame, and then now just be with that shame, because what we tend to do is we want to get away from it as fast as we can and push it away and make it small. It just feels terrible. But instead, if you feel like you're strong enough to do this, let yourself feel the shame. So it's this felt sense. It's like a fog or some kind of like a thick, something that tends to rise up. And it wants to usually take up way more space than your body. It just like wants to just take over kind of thing. So you let that happen. And then just feel how terrible it just feels terrible. But don't make the story up around it. Don't go, oh, poor me, or I want to get away. Just like feel it. Just stay really present with it. This is not easy to do. You just stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. And eventually it is like a fog or a cloud. And if you don't put words and ideas around it, it's just energy that moves. So by letting yourself feel it fully, it begins to move and release from your being, ideally. And so see if that happens for you, Forrest. You can feel what happens for you there. And maybe, if it doesn't, it's okay too. But just to feel, does it move? Does it shift? What happens there? You have to stay with it long enough until it moves on its own, though.
what's happening for me is there's just a deep connection with the longing that's underneath the shame.
Yeah. So it's say more about that. What do you mean?
Um, shame for me can have a really hot quality, like temperature wise, it's very hot.
Yes. Yes, it is. That's right.
And it's like underneath the shame, there's this cool, soothing
Mm,
longing. It's like, oh, here's just the pure longing without any shame. That's
there you go.
just underneath the shame.
That's it.
Pure longing.
That's it. And longing. It's just like vulnerable and tender and sweet. And it's okay. And you don't have to hold whatever happened, whatever somebody else did to you or that you imagine. You don't have to hold on to that anymore. You know, it's not who you are. So it starts to heal, when you can let yourself feel it and let it move. There's a healing and a clearing that happens. I've, I've done plenty of that on myself. Yeah.
Yeah, the cooling sensation is just going everywhere. I mean, it's moving through the
Yeah.
whole Taurus field now. It's wonderful.
Nice. That's very good. Yeah. Yeah. And then you can have compassion for yourself and let go of whatever was, the other people or whatever happened. Start to let that move and let go. And it's just something else it's one other thing that's part of the whole. Got you here. Got us here.
Much easier to breathe now.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good sign. I always say, you've heard me say this to be before, which is if your breath comes naturally, that means it's a yes, whatever's happening. It's a good sign. It means you're relaxed, there's a flow, and whatever maybe a question you're asking for your life, if it flows easily, it's a yes. If it gets stuck somewhere, it usually means, yeah, this might not be right or not time. It's pretty simple.
I'd love for you to speak a little bit more. I mean, it's like a embodied compass that you've been offering to my team and me, like um, if the breath comes easily, distinctions between what there's excitement for versus, if we got to beat ourselves into doing something. Like, just want to invite you to share more about
Mm,
these nice little noticings on our embodied sensorial compass for navigating our
I
experience.
love it. Yeah, well, it's amazing how many people, I mean, pretty much very few people do this that I'm aware of. They don't listen to their bodies enough. Yeah. They bypass the body, they by going to the thinking mind and rationalizing or, being logical or, that kind of thing. And that what happens is then you've left your own heart and your own gut, you know. And again, it's useful to use the thinking mind as part of it, but not as the main or the only way of processing things. So for me, it's like to use the whole being as a tuning fork or a vessel to receive information is more ideal. And um, what I like to have, it's what's very simple to take it to a real simple point here is that if you feel joy in your heart about something, if your heart sings about something, if it feels true, if there's like there's an openness, then that's a yes in your life. And then if you don't have that, if you say, well, I think I'd like to do such and such, but there isn't a breath that comes easily, your heart doesn't sing, it's more like up here, kind of like, well, this is the logical or the rational or the practical thing to do, then there's no energy behind it. There's not much energy behind it. If there's not energy behind it, it doesn't tend to work very well, or it becomes very hard to do it. You keep running into the blocks in the world. And so, most people go into their mind or other people's minds. What should I do? And have someone else tell you what to do. And that never, very rarely does that feel satisfying. And very rarely does that really work. And it definitely doesn't allow you to be in flow. So to be in flow means to let go. Again, is to keep relaxing through the body, relax through the body, relax, rest, let go of thoughts, let go of agenda, let go of grasping, let go of avoiding. And just be completely present right here, empty and open and aware. And then allow yourself to feel what's true for me in my heart. And then if it feels like a yes, if there's a joy, if there's energy, that's a yes. If there's that's an obvious no. But what's so interesting is people will tense up, but then go, yeah, but I really should do this because X, Y, and Z, or someone else said I should do this because so I'm gonna do that anyway, even though my whole body's tensing up about this. So it's so simple, but so few people live this way. But what I find is the more you follow that yes, it's really the spirit moving us. To me, when you relax and release all the stuckness in the body, you can open to the flow of spirit. Spirit then moves you, but you have to let go of your own ideas about what life's about, your life's about, or your own agenda, what you want, and let you be moved. And then you're moved by all at once. And then that's when things just click more and more and more and more. It just gets easier and easier and easier. And the more you release the stuff that's in the way, that's like the karmic release. Release the old stuff that comes up and gets you triggered. Keep working with that, feel it, work your way through it, and then eventually let it go. That opens up more space for this flow to happen in your life. And then life just sort of flourishes like, a beautiful tree or a beautiful rose bush. It just happens naturally because you're being yourself, you're being your true self. So that's what I see in myself, in my own life. That's what I've found. And I also see it in the people I work with. Yeah.
As you're speaking, Venita, my great great grandchildren are showing up energetically in my awareness, and I'm just uh yeah,
I
just
love it.
it's just dawning on me that they're going to get to enjoy this conversation you and I are having. Like
Oh,
there's a timelessness to this um,
yeah.
connection and this recording we're doing, and
Oh, that's delightful. That makes me so happy.
isn't that cool?
Free. Yeah, I just feel like I'm flying, I'm already gone. I'm not here anymore and I'm just flying free somewhere. I'm just light. In sharing, we're all sharing it with your great great grandchildren, all the beings.
I want to ask you about one more thing before we pause for today. I know that there's a paper, Healing in the Extraordinary Mind, is a paper you've written. Is that the name of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll
Mm-hmm.
link that in the show notes for people. It's incredible piece of writing that's come through you put together.
Thank you.
And you speak towards the end, at the end of MetaWare and transition into a non-dual or unified orientation, that there's a challenge of, distinction between conceptualizing non-dual and actually non-dual, experiencing non-dual. Just
Yeah.
wonder if you would speak to that um, distinction.
Hmm. Well, I'm not sure about what I said about conceptualizing the non-dual. But what I can say is I think there's a lot of misconception about non-dual, but I can't even say I mean, again, it's a construct it was made up, and different teachers probably have different views on what that means. Um, but for me, what non-dual is this knowing oneself or knowing the all as this vast, boundless, timeless awareness, presence. It's radiant. It's full of clear light and knowing with a capital K. It knows everything. It's all knowing. And it's a form that comes up in through that with it's physical from throughout time and space and subtle forms throughout time and space. Subtle meaning angels, deities, ghosts, ideas, emotions, anything subtle that you can sense or that's can be imagined. And so non-dual would be being all of that all at once and knowing that's who you are. And that's who all of us are. It's what everything is. And it's a felt sense. It's not just an idea. So the more we come into that, the more we feel it as true. And there's no separation there. There's intimacy through everything and with everything. And like I said earlier, co-evolving and co-inspiring, co-being, all being together. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Venita. The deepest bow of gratitude and appreciation for you, for everything. I mean, thank you for everything, all the connections we've had, and thanks for being you.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, I told you before we hit record, I experienced you. You have so many gifts, and the deepest one is your presence and just who you be, and how you be, and um, it's the best teachers.
Thank you.
The best teachers. You just have to get around them and soak them up.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally do. It's what I've always done. It really works. So,
Thanks
thank you
for
so much.
thanks for giving me and everybody listening a chance to soak you up and be with you and
Yeah.
take you in.
Likewise, my pleasure. I'm so blessed to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me. Lots of love to you.
Love you all. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.